What if judgment did not thunder from skies above, but bent itself into silence? What if it came not through fire nor blade, but pressed itself between a man's throat and the very pulpit where he declared himself voice of God? Before we step inside this house, tell us in the comments where you're watching from, and subscribe to join this community of witnesses. It begins not with words, but with wood. The pulpit rose rough, grain warped, oiled grime dark through years of handling. Scratches lined edges from rings, canes, and nails, each a mark of ownership repeated. Candle smoke trailed above, odor of tallow fusing with incense. Shutters rattled with dawn wind, hinges shrill. Latch clicked on door, sharp enough to echo as weapon, though no hand yet upon it. The chapel stood small but staged, pews warped, hymn banners drooping damp, plaster streaked with moisture gone black in corners. Air smelled of sweat and tobacco mixed with faint chalk dust from school children rehearsing hymns. It was meant to sanctify, yet every scent spoke of burden. Silence pressed on chest like stone. For Amos, each sight struck ledger. Each crack in pulpit wood, each shutter slam, each smoke curl became tally invisible. He carried sister's cry sold south, mother's silence buried deep. He counted them not on page, but inside pressed breath. Thus the pulpit shifted from place of faith to stage of ritual. The preacher believed himself arbiter. He raised Bible on grain darkened by oil, declared dominion. But it would be pulpit also to witness final silence. Wooden board would creak under rope weight, sermon replaced by hush, heavier than prayer. The plantation readied itself for Easter. Big house glistened false bright, oil lamps rubbed clean, glass smoky, though polished still. Gates bent but painted fresh, whitewash layered thick to present order. Beyond facade, cabins sagged low, mud-climbing logs, doors swollen, crooked. Spring bloom, dogwood and redbud, wilted before humidity overtook. Ruts deep along yard still filled damp with earlier rain. Hooves pressed, wagon wheels gouged. When frost settled night before, indentations hardened sharp, ground glittering like shards. Wagon prints bore record deeper than any ledger. The ground remembers. Inside estate, desks stacked high with ledgers, entries careful, subtracting rations, arranging debts. Edges bled with ink smears where moisture blurred numbers. Some names crossed out, new tallies added, blot thicker than story told aloud. Bible rested adjacent, cover warped from heat, pressed equally to ledger as though prayers and columns alike. The chapel adjoined main house by small corridor. Its doors swollen from rain squeaked on every hinge. Within, pews warped cupped moisture. Banners hung limp. Light filtered dim, lamp oil haze refusing to settle, drifting like veil across rafters. Garlands for Easter sagged already, cloth damp from air itself. Above rafters, soot streaked high where past lamps had sputtered. Household prepared feast, as if ritual would erase unrest. Yet under every polish lay damp, cracked beams, true structure sagged. Workers dragged benches, children rehearsed plainchant. Sound hollow, voices strained. Silence pooled between hymns like water in low ground. Neighbors invited to service, expectation of proclamation joyous. But environment pressed heavy instead. Amos carried hymn books woodbound, moved candle here, cloth there. His eyes recorded ruts and beams, cloth droops, pages ink smeared. Nothing he touched felt holy, only weighed. It was Easter in name, dominion in function. Chapel awaited sermon, waited also for reckoning none would list. Amos bore stillness deeper than sleep. His task, tend fires in chapel, hand out hymnals, sweep pew dust. Simple duties, but his silence made them strange. He tied kerchief tight at waist, sweat cloth folded, but weaponized memory. His gaze caught candle shimmer, lips pressed but eyes burned steady. When he breathed, breath timed to tasks. Stroke fire, 1, open shutter, 2, every gesture interval in inward counting. His stillness disarmed some. Preacher mocked him passive, but stillness was iron. Each lash endured, carved patience deeper. He remembered sister sold small, wagon wheel creaking out. He remembered back split red, cloth pressed soaking to staunch. He remembered being forced to lift Bible heavy while preacher proclaimed his torment divine. Stillness gave shape. He counted those humiliations as ledger lines hidden. 1, sister lost. 2, scar across spine. 3, lash demonstration repeated. More numbers came. Each counted a lined silence. Even when choir rustled, cloth against benches, Amos paced soundless. Every pew creak recorded. Stillness did not bleed weakness, it tallied power. At night, he sat near closed doors, hearing hinges groan. He breathed slow, listening. Each hinge noise inscribed, each shutter clap tallied. Silence made memory ledger beyond paper. Memory sharpened into design. Others shivered fear. Amos sat steady. Stillness itself became presence heavier than words, pressing until day would come when silence broke through rope not verse. Preacher arrived to browbeat congregants, paid by master, clothed in dark coat, his dominion not merely faith, but whip behind pulpit. He slammed Bible hard on wood, startled, heads bowed. Cain tapped rhythm floorboard, marking silence before command. He demanded hymns sung loud, then mocked voices cracked. He pointed to Amos often. Accuse him wrong, belittle stillness. Each demonstration sermon of Master's rule disguised heaven's decree. Tobacco haze lingered as he exhaled pipe behind altar, blending incense with smoke. Ledger of tithes rested beside hymnals. Columns aligned oppression with prayer. Easter drew near. He planned greater spectacle. Service as theater of supremacy. He rehearsed cadence, bellowed scripture, turned pews into stage, laborers into audience of subjugation. Silence he detested most. He roared to break it, equating hush with rebellion. Every quiet look he marked. He clung to ritual forms, believing repetition eternal. Amos he fixated upon, called him shadow, ghost, pointed mid-sermon at his stillness. Yet he never recognized silence as coiled power. Thus, while preacher shaped pulpit into stage of cruelty, Amos inscribed same space as altar of reckoning. 2 readings of same hall, one declared, one waiting. Hinges creaked overhead. Candle wax dripped. Each noise recorded by silence, heavier. The week before, Easter stretched shadowed. Candles guttered through doors closed and no wind stirred. Flames bent sideways in calm chapel air, wax dripping in jagged forms. Shutters clapped suddenly at dusk, hinges squealing with no storm to urge them. In field, hens squawked restless, scattering at unseen thing. Dogs barked sharp, then fell silent too quick. Choirmaster whispered unease, saying wrong notes slipped like curse into song. Voices quavered. Hymn practice faltered. Fragments of tune collapsed into hush, as if sound itself retreated. Workers muttered stories. Some said spirit rose from swamp mist. Some called it storm approaching. Others hushed talk, fearing more lash for speaking. Ration tally smudged one evening as steward marked corn. Ink blurred spill across margin. Overseer swore and slammed quill, but marks unreadable after. Another blot, another erased account. Amos carried no word. He laid hymnals, shifted logs in fire pit, eyes lowered. Yet each omen entered inward ledger. Candle gutter, 1. Shutter slam, 2. Hen cry, 3. Smudged ration, 4. Numbers tallied silent. weight increasing each night. Between choir and field, silence deepened as cloth draped heavy over face. What was superstition to neighbors became signs marked by Amos with steel. Reckoning announced itself in omens small as wax drip, loud as shutter crash. Preacher weakened before congregation, though he denied. At night, he coughed rough. Cloth pressed over lips. Phlegm streaked red into linen. He waved it away as dust irritation. Rafter echoed each hack, wood amplifying frailty. Hands quivered when Bible lifted, voice cracked mid-psalm, forcing pause. Master called physician. Cain tapped corridor 3 times, entrance ritual itself. Physician in coat, smelling of powder and bitter tonics, declared swamp vapor seeped. Diagnosis, ague of season. Remedy, bleed him once more. Vein slit, red flesh drained. Preacher paled further. Powders forced down throat, vinegar cloths pressed to brow, but cough persisted, hands trembled more. His command faltered, even as Cain demanded silence. Lamp guttered low one night during visitation. Flame stubbed itself sudden into smoke. Physician scowled, scribbled, line of ink shaky. Margin later crossed out. Dark paper confessed ignorance better than tongue. Congregants whispered curse. Some said foul hymn disrespected heaven. Some said God's warning, truth unnamed. But Amos counted differently. He marked length between preachers' coughs. He listened to hymn break mid-verse. He tallied barefoot steps faltering across choir loft. Each interval stretched longer, number heavier. Preacher blamed swamp. Physician blamed air. Amos read silence. Silence explained decline more true than any pen. Thus ledger unseen filled thick. Each trembling hand stroke, each cough, each hemat stain counted with patience. Weakness settling not by chance, but as sign. Dawn rose Easter, sky pale, mist clinging rose. Bell tolled heavy, vibrating through timbers. Amos wakened silent, body calm, hands deliberate. He folded kerchief damp, wrapping palms. Cloth to shield skin, cloth to absorb sweat. He pocketed fragment of hinge broken long past, sharper at edge, reminding of locked doors endured. Peace cold, pressing thigh with weight of memory. Rope strand wound beneath pew earlier, hidden. Hemp smelled of earth, scratch burned fingers. At chest, he slipped sprig of cedar bark, cracked fresh, its scent bitter, sharp as graveyard winds. Tokens gathered, all tethered to vow. He aligned them by breath. Bell tolled once. He inhaled deep, exhaled steady. Twice, 3 times. He counted alignment with each strike until body synced to bell. Prepare not by speech, but ritual token, breath measured. Footsteps through shadowed chapel firm, unfaltering. Shutters knocked faint with morning swell. Pews creaked as choirs gathered, voices ready for hymn. Amos silent. Each object memory made touchable. Kerchief memory of mother's cloth pressed to wound. Hinge memory of doors shut against kin. Rope memory of whip reversed. Cedar memory of burial unseen. 4 wounds, 4 talismans, 4 names tallied. He carried them into Easter not as servant, but as vessel. Congregation rose, hymn swelling low. Preacher thundered from pulpit, voice cracking yet stout. Bible slammed hard, echoing wood. Amos stood nearby, hymn book in hand, then stepped forward, quiet. Motion contained. Rope strand drawn, hiss rough against pew grain. Loop lifted, breath even. Preacher bellowed verse. Rope slid behind, looped clean. Amos pulled, arms iron, yet steady. This not frenzy, this ritual. Wooden pulpit groaned under weight shift. Preacher's hands flew outward, muffled gasps smothered by rope. Candle flames bent as though air fled sudden. Choir faltered, voices collapsed hush. Amos counted inward. 1 pull for sister, name remembered. 2 pull for lash-engraved scar. 3 pull for hymn mocked. 4 silence covering ledger. Congregation stunned. Amos face still, rope taut. Preacher clawed, pulpit creaked. Then stillness drowned sound. Silence pressed heavier than sermon ever proclaimed. No word necessary. Rope cut short speech. Sermon shortened to breathless hush. Wooden pulpit bore witness. Grain carrying. Memory for ground. Choir voices faltered like light snuffed. The preacher's hands clawed pulpit side, white knuckles trembling, then slackness overtook. Rope pressed line across his throat, words aborted mid-verse. His mouth opened, but no sermon spilled, only air cut short, swallowed inside hush. A hymn note hung brief, then folded back into itself. Choristers stilled, children gaped, mothers pulled shawls. Silence, immense. Chair hinges squealed as someone shifted under terror, the small sound magnified in absolute quiet. Wax dripped down brass holder, drops pooling broad, cooling fast. Candle flame strained yellow, convulsed, then straightened weak. The chapel reeked of oil, sweat, tobacco smoke. But overriding all was silence. Amos's hands steadied, breath low. He did not cry victory, his face unreadable as ledger stone. He held rope taut until inward tally complete, until each remembered name received moment measured. Sisters cry, mothers sigh, whips strike, all entered, all balanced. Rope released not quick, but gradual. Body sagged, pulpit board creaked, candles guttered softer. Wax string bent, then snapped. The preacher's voice, once scourge, would not rise again. No benediction uttered, no hymn concluded. Easter morning sermon undone. Silence enthroned itself, weight upon pews heavier than scripture. Neighbors refused truth. Whispers flew, seizure, stroke, curse of God. No one named rope in light. Court clerk wrote bland. Easter 1853, minister perished in pulpit. Margin bare, word sudden, underlined. Ledger adjusted. Name struck neat. Ink blot smoothed but depth too dark, as though wound upon page. Rain tapped courthouse roof, dripping steady outside. Bell tolled muffled, sound absorbed into cloud. Testimony cut short. Voices hushed. Safer silence than spark. Servants in cabins shared nothing. Doors closed, windows nailed tighter. Amos vanished from record, name scrubbed, erased safer than investigated. Authority preferred fiction. Ledgers locked, Bibles shut. Silence forced again, but now silence witness, silence deed itself. Ground beneath chapel soaked with truth, though paper denied. Decades later, fragments surfaced like ash. Children hummed rhyme low. Preacher fell still, Easter was nil. Parents hushed quick, eyes darting. Yet rhyme endured fireside, bouncing between generations, shaped in whispers. Archivist 1 century on found hymn page browned, edge charred. Margin note scribbled faint. Voice ceased, rope implied. Another hand scrawled thick over, blotting into smear. Paper denied again. Hinge rusted in chapel, creaking even when unstirred. Candle occasionally failed sudden, wick flaring black. Parishioners muttered storm memory searching return. Some said Amos's silence entered boards. Others said candle flame itself carried him. Legend twined with mass. Paper lost. Oral rhyme survived. Silence longer than sermon. Whisper heavier than proclamation. Pews remain long after names erased. Wood worn smooth by hands folded tight, still echo moans of shudder when wind floods Easter night. Candles hiccup flame, gutters collapse even without draft. Shutter hinge ticks, echo ricochet sharp through aisle. Each sound returns silence heavier, pressing chest as cloth weighted damp. Amos absent in record, but ground remembers. Beneath chapel soil still damp, soft after storm, memory cannot scour. He carried rope, he carried stillness, and silence crowned itself over sermon. This was not revenge, revenge cries. This was reckoning. Ritual measured, ledger closed in breath unseen. Easter altered to altar. Silence enthroned where preacher once ruled word. If you would walk with us into the next investigation, remain. The ground always remembers.